Hello, everyone. This is Zorina, your host at Healnlearn and at the Grow and Learn podcast. Welcome back. Today, I have a guest that I don't know much about, but she sounds really interesting to me. Her website is spunkyspiritualist.com, and her name is Tiffany Nguyen. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Zorina.
Thank you for staying up so late. It's 4 a.m. in Florida right now, and I'm excited about your staying power.
Yeah, I'm a night owl, so this is fine.
Very cool to have you. So I read in your brief bio that, in your bio, it's not brief, that you're a speaker, a pharmacist, a life coach, and you are also very deep into Buddhist philosophy. So do you integrate Buddhist philosophy in your coaching with your clients? Or
Yes.
let's start from the beginning. Who are you?
So I am a doctor of pharmacy, and I'm also a spiritual life coach. And I'm here to help people reconnect with their own truth, so they can living the life that's very authentic to them and have fulfilling relationship because they are not wearing any more masks.
Mm-hmm. So what is your story? How did you become the spunky spiritualist from being a pharmacist?
So pharmacy, I love science, so I pursue medicine. It's always something that I want when I was little. My spiritual journey I think it's very gradual. It started when I moved to the US when I was 16 by myself. No English, no knowledge of the US, and
Where are you
no
from
family.
originally, Tiffany?
I'm from Vietnam.
You're Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And you
Yeah.
came by yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
Very
Yeah.
rough, very rough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe anyone that moved to a different country will understand a lot of difficulty that came with it, especially when you don't know the English.
Exactly. The
No
language is a big
language.
barrier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, and then one of my biggest fear, the biggest fear, is loneliness. And so when that time when I moved to the US, so I had nothing but have to face my loneliness, and I hated it. I did not want to feel that way. But I feel very isolated, and I was very much alone. I couldn't understand what everybody was saying, and nobody understood me. So it was a very difficult time. It was my dark night of the soul kind of deal. Um, so I didn't exactly deal with my fear. What I did was more like a very unhealthy coping mechanism. I just get busy and I just do whatever to avoid feeling alone and lonely. So either I get busy or just got into a relationship with people that I shouldn't be with, but anything just not to be alone. And eventually life did get better. I learned the language and I adapted to the new environment, and I graduate with bachelor degree, and life seems to get better, and I tried to suppress everything and just think that it was behind me. And then I moved to Florida to pursue my doctorate degree in pharmacy. And then I had a normal, serious, stable relationship, and I got engaged and everything. And life basically had checked every box that I thought as a standard. I have a career, I have relationship, I have everything, but I felt very miserable. And no
Wait a
matter what.
sec. Can I backtrack you a little bit to the moment that you came to the US? How did you pull yourself out of the misery of not knowing the language and of being alone? How did you manage that?
I didn't. I just suffer.
Okay.
So I learned English by books actually. So library, lend out free book. So I learned by reading. So I still have trouble pronouncing a lot of words. Like if I see it, I can understand what it means. but I never heard it say before, so I don't know how it's actually pronounced. So I learned English by reading, and then, like I said, eventually I just avoid being alone. So I either be at school, at work, or be with somebody, like keeping my schedule very packed. And the same thing when I moved to Florida, even worse because graduate school is a very rigorous program. So no time to sleep, so no time to feel lonely. And so it's like I never have a moment for myself. Maybe in the bathroom. Those would be my only moment for myself. I always be in school, at work, or with my fiance at the time. So it was very packed. So I designed my life that way. I scheduled my life that way because I did not like to be alone. And it came to a point that even though I was surrounded by people, I would still feel miserable. So I didn't know what was wrong. I thought I had everything. I checked off every single box of what would the standard family life look like. And I would just feel miserable. And I don't know what I was doing. And I try to feel happy. I feel like I should feel happy, but I didn't. I feel quite lonely. And I hated it because that's one of my biggest fear. So that what started. What actually kick-started was I was miserable for a while, but I keep hiding it because I feel like that's ridiculous. And I can't even express it to other people. Like, how do I say that I feel miserable, but I don't know why? You know, because when you explain it to people, especially even like your family or your friends or your close one, it also is very hard to say that because they would try to fix your problem, and you don't know. Like I didn't know what was wrong to be fixed in the first place.
But I suppose, especially as a person who has immigrated from Vietnam, it's difficult for your family to understand you because they think that now you've achieved your dream, right? In the US, they believe that now you have it also. Why not be happy? I would suppose.
I would say everybody look at me and think that I had everything because I have my career, I have good grade, and I had a stable relationship. Everything, I got everything. And it was one day. It took me one day when I was just lounging around and talking with my best friend, relaxing after an exam and gearing up for another one. She would just mention that she wished that she has a relationship like mine. And in that moment, I would just laugh. I'm like, it wasn't that great. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I feel miserable. I don't know, why would you want to be like this? And she would look at me weird. And so I would just laugh it off. Like, I had cold feet, we're doing engagement. That's normal for people. And she was, like, we would talk a lot more. And that was the vulnerable moment that I told her that of my past. When I moved here, I got into a lot of relationships that I shouldn't be in, and I hated myself for doing that. And that was when that very misaligned with my soul that I just ignored and suppressed it, and come to the point that now I just hated myself, and I was waiting for bad karma to come back at me.
Right. Yeah.
And that opened up that she also became vulnerable and shared her own painful past. And so we have a great moment of understanding each other. And that took me a few months later. I was driving alone. I had this epiphany that if our place got switched, I would never think less of my best friend. If she did everything that I did, if she made all the same mistake that I made. And that opened up for self-compassion. And I forget my mistake when I was young. And that took off the burden off my shoulder. And that made me have like a clearer reflection to figure out what went wrong. And what went wrong was I was not who I was. And I didn't know who I was anymore. I was completely lost. I knew, like I feel like I knew other people more than I know myself because I just wasn't spending time I would keep avoiding myself so much. And that forgiveness, that give me that clarity and give me that courage to be very honest with myself, to look at it, to realize that I really hated myself. And that at that point, I self-reflected and realized a lot of things in my life did not align with who I was anymore. And I don't even know who I was anymore. So I broke off the engagement. I continued to finish my doctorate degree because I still love science. And then that was just a process of rediscover who I was. That had been a journey. And later on, when a lot of people, like my friends, saw me later on, a few years later down the line, and it's like there was this like glowing like happiness that out of you, you know, like you don't. It's like it's a different feeling when you're faking a smile or you just like like very easy and happy. And I think my story, not that uncommon. I feel like a lot of people have that weird sense of loss and not sure what they're missing and not sure what went wrong or feel like there should be more, but not sure what. And so that feeling is very vague, but it's very common. A lot of people feel it. So that's why I started to be a spiritual life coach to help people to do what I do, to do what I do and just rediscover ourselves, to reconnect with ourselves.
Very interesting story. But did you use the help of somebody when you were trying to put yourself together after the breakup, or did you just go within and analyze yourself, or what
no, I didn't.
processes
That's why
you
my
used?
journey took very long. I wish somebody was there. So that's why, like, when I do this work, I wish somebody was like me, like was there to pointing out and helping me come out to my conclusion much faster. Like it took me a decade being miserable, more than a decade, feeling so miserable to get to the point of like the breakthrough. And it was funny, like right after that, I feel like a few months after that, a few months where I'm at like quite a good place of finding out who I am for like the most part, for the core of it. That's when I met my teacher. That's when I met Tibetan meditation master and study under him. So I'm here to help people to get that breakthrough much faster. So give them the clarity. That's what I'm here for.
So what did your teacher bring you the most? How did he benefit your life? What did you learn in meditation, or how did it reach to your breakthrough? How did he help you reach breakthrough?
I would say he changed my life. So before then, I tried to meditate for like 3 years because I knew all the benefit of meditations, but it never worked. I fell asleep because I was so tired and exhausted. So at that time, I was agnostic. I was not Buddhist. So after I met him, he was teaching me meditation and understood about what awareness and about to practice to have more aware, and from that awareness there's a lot of clarity and discovery to come through. So that is a very gradual process. Like in the beginning the breakthrough was like it's like you jump off into like a different baseline or whatever, but the awareness is like continuing to education. So he taught me all of that about awareness. And I think if you have awareness, all of that wisdom will eventually shine through if you stick through with the practice. So after that, and then I was interested. So I went to become a Buddhist, and he will, expand on a lot of Buddhist principle. And that has been very, very helpful because Buddhist principles are very logical. So it's very similar to like a scientific mind. Like if you do something, like this is what happened, like there's a lot of explanation. And I like that. And then that helped me make sense of things. And yeah, that had changed my life, I would say. So now I use Buddhist principle in like 4 I feel like it's almost imbued in it. It's not like I teach them how to be Buddhist.
Right. Yeah.
Or like teach them what Buddhism is, but like certain concept of it, like what is true love, like the principle of true love in Buddhism, that is very practical and is very dynamic. And
Can you share with us the principle of true love?
yeah, so there are 4 elements of true love. There are loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity or non-discriminations. So all those 4 qualities are true, and you just have to, I guess it's like almost like a guide for us to look at where our relationship can develop more. Like, do you have loving kindness in your relationship? Do you have compassion? Do you have joy? Do you have non-discrimination? That means their suffering is your suffering and their happiness is your happiness. So when I look back on my last relationship with my ex-fiance at that time, I only had compassion and non-discrimination. Like when I was with him, I felt less suffering, but I did not feel joyful. So there was a lot of like guidelines to show you like, oh, okay. So if you have a relationship right now, you can use that guideline to improve it. If you don't, you know what to look for and you know how to grow yourself into a more better, more wholesome version of you. So you'll be ready for a healthy and equivalent relationship.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was quite interesting. And so now you're helping people move out of a situation that is similar to what you have been in?
So the people I work with tend to be in their 30s or older or much older. Not so young, because we tend to have this grandiose illusion that when we were young, we just knew what we were doing, I guess, and we're just very stubborn. But most people came to me usually have like some relationship issue. It starts from there, because when we in a relationship, is we have to involve a lot of aspects of ourselves. We show a lot of aspects of ourselves in a relationship. So it's very easy to see, like where things have gone kind of funky or not quite right. It's like when we in a relationship is where we show our damage, is where we show our baggage, is where we show our dark side. So so I help them to point out the patterns of their thought patterns. I show them like, this is kind of your behavior. This is the patterns that I see. And this is why you're doing this kind of patterns. And once we know why, we can start shifting it and we can choose a different way. And when they establish a new thought pattern, their life would change from the inside out, because they change their belief from why it worked and they change it. And some people got a complete new life in a very dramatic way in like a matter of few months, but some take longer, some take few years, but it's all changed like from inside. So once a change takes place, it's long term. It's not like a quick fix. So it's a long term change. So that's where, besides you want a relationship to be long term, right? You don't want to be a quick fix, feel good for 3 months, and then like it's all going to shit. So
well, if you're completely changing yourself, there is no way that you're temporarily changing a relationship, because it's
right. So that's why I think that's why people like it. But it takes a lot of guts, because the change is not going to be pretty. It's not going to be easy. So it's actually be very painful and chaotic for the change to take place. But
is there a way for the change not to be to go through a smooth transition? Have you seen such cases?
Depend on what your definition of smooth is. But you have to be prepared. If you want a different life, your old life have to crumble away first to make room for a new life. You can't have both. You can't have both old life and then let's just ease it out and have a new life. That's not really how life works. So some change take more. I think it depends on the nature of relationship. most people came to me when the relationship were kind of over already. So they like already like just finished a breakup or just in the process of divorce. So the relationship was kind of over already, and they at the point where they completely lost. Because usually when we had a breakup, we lost a lot of part of ourselves in relationship that we sometimes we don't know who we are anymore. So that way usually most people find me. So so they're already in a painful situation already.
Yeah, I see. Well, Tiffany, this was a very interesting talk. Thank you for staying up for me.
Thank you for having me on. It's been so
people can find you on spunkyspiritualist.co. Right?
.com. spunkyspiritualist.com.
.com. Okay, because I just saw something that is CO, but spunkyspiritualist.com.
Yes.
And you offer mini clarity sessions and other types of coaching sessions.
Went away. The mini clarity session is going away. So that's no longer being offering incoming to May. So that's no longer going to be offered.
Well, it's not a mini job that you're doing.
Well, the mini clarity session is I have including like a tarot reading, and sometimes people forgot the focus of the session is to get to their thought patterns, like get to the reason why. But most people, when they get the tarot reading, they would want to know what's going to happen,
right.
Like when I'm gonna meet my true love soulmate, and you're not gonna meet them when you're not ready yet.
Right.
So that's why that's going away. So I'm offering more of a long term, like a 3 months, 12 weeks, working privately with me. So that's where we can shift the thought patterns and making the change much more long lasting.
And how does your relationship situation look like at the moment?
At the moment, I'm not in a relationship. I'm very happy on my own and kind of open to it, but I'm also very busy to be dating. And COVID-19 did not help with dating life.
No, that's true. Yeah. All right, Tiffany, thank you so much for a lovely conversation.
Thank you, Zorina.
Hope to host you again on my channels. Thank you.